All right, ladies, let's get started. Go ahead and sit down. I loved it. No. I love that too. I love that too. I thought that was great. I think that Becky's here. Because you're so used to that. Okay, love. Of course I can. No, we don't need to do that. We don't need to go back. And I'd be watching too much Love Lucy. Oh yeah. Yeah, you look like Lucy. You look like Lucy. Okay, let's pray, y'all, so we can start. But we have a lot to go through. Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for your word.
Goody ladies.
Thank you how it just penetrates our heart and shows us how we're supposed to live and how we're supposed to treat our brother and how we're supposed to treat all men and how we're supposed to live with all men. Thank you for those guidelines that you put in there for us. Father, I just pray that this would really be a lesson that we would apply. Interpret, yes, and apply so we can put into action what we know. In your precious name I pray, amen. Okay, I am going to review you, but I also want to remind you that we have 4 lessons left.
Goodness.
I know. You're halfway through.
Did we just start? I thought we just got here.
Exactly. So if anybody wants a book, has not gotten a book yet, your last chance is in there because we're sending them back. There's 3 extra, I think. Okay, this should be easy. What's the whole theme of Romans? The righteous shall live by faith. Very good. Okay. Romans 1 to 17. What is 16 and 17?
Our theme.
Right, so quote it.
Shall we do it together?
Yes, please. Brian.
For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation for everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith. As it is written, the righteous shall live by faith.
Very good. Very, very good. So, is there any partiality with God?
No.
Okay. Romans 1:18 through 3:20. What are we talking about?
A downward spiral of
sinners.
sin.
Good. The downward spiral, right? Romans 2 is about
God's judgment.
right, the wrath of God and everything like that. Romans 3 pretty much determines that
Justification.
justification by faith because all have sinned.
There's
Right.
none
Where
righteous,
would
not
you
even
find
one.
the first mention of there's no partiality with God?
Must be 3 because there's
2.
2.
It's in chapter 2. Is it 20 or 22?
Find it yourself. Let me know. 2:11. There you go. Okay, 2:11. That's where that little theme part starts, right? Why do we put it in chapter 2 before he launches into chapter 3? Because it's for the Jew and for the Greek. The wrath is for the Jew and the Greek. Sin is for the Jew and the Greek. But the gospel in chapter 1 says it's also for the Jew and the Greek. So there's no partiality. Good. 3:21 to 5:21. Sanctification. And we are, how are we made righteous? That big old word justified. How?
By faith.
By faith, not right. Or to the Jew, it would be not by the law. Okay? Romans 6 to 8. That's a whole division in itself. That was what? Part 2.
Part 2
That was Romans part 2. Okay? That's our relationship to the law. As believers, we are
Buried with Christ.
dead to the law. We're buried with Christ.
Raised to
Raised to walk. Newness of life. Good. What about slavery? Talked about that. No longer a slave to sin. Right, but to righteousness. Okay. Who sets us free? Jesus.
Christ, right. Jesus Christ sets us free from the spirit of life. He sets us free because we are dead to sin and
Raised to newness.
so we can
Walk.
okay?
Faith to faith.
Right, so we don't die to sin and raise. Yay, do anything we want. Who was that? Antinomians, okay? The Judaizers would say, yes, we're raised to walk in the law. Right, because that's what
They said that's what
saves
saves
you,
you.
right? Faith in Christ plus law. Okay? Paul gave a great example of why that can't be true. Who is the person that he decided to give you an example? Abraham.
Didn't have
Right.
law.
Abraham didn't have law, so what are you going to do with that? So that doesn't apply. So does that mean Abraham's lost?
No.
The Jew would never do that, right? No. Abraham's our father, right? We are Abraham's children. We're the descendants of Abraham. Therefore, we are God's chosen people. Absolutely true. That is absolutely true. But he didn't have the law, so how is it grace plus the law? That doesn't work. Okay? Romans 9-11. Who's the specific group of people he's pretty much talking to?
The Jews.
The Jews. Mhm. So because they haven't believed, God's done with them.
No.
No, no, no. Will
Because
God
God's
ever be
calling
done
her
with
irrevocable.
Israel?
No.
Why? Chosen people covenant.
Covenant.
Right. He is a covenant keeping God. He made a covenant with whom? With Abraham. Right? You will be my chosen people
Forever.
forever. Okay, so forever in God's language means
Forever.
forever. Right. You know, when we stand up and we commit to marriage and stuff, I don't think that really applies in what we say compared to what God says. However, God cannot what?
Lie.
Cannot lie. So if he says forever,
His promises.
it's forever. His promises are true. They are yea and amen. Okay, so again, kind of what were the problems that Paul dealt with in this letter that we've gotten up to so far? Sin and wrath, right?
Works or grace.
Oh, that's really good. Works, grace. So how does he justify, you are saved by grace? But where do works come in?
Your effect that you're saved and you want to do the works.
The effect that you're saved, you want to do the works. What else did he say? Evidence. Good, good. Evidence of what? Of your faith.
Right.
Okay? Where's that obedience of faith? What are you supposed to obey?
Thank God.
The Holy Spirit in
You
you.
obey God, the Holy Spirit, right? How do you know what you're supposed to do? Because they only had the law, they didn't have the New Testament. So what are they supposed to do?
He lives within us and he directs us.
That's it. Okay? So, again, review. What's the difference between the Old Testament believers and the New Testament believers?
Back to Jesus, they look forward.
Exactly, but it's always by faith.
Yeah.
So
One
they
circumcision
couldn't
of
keep
the
the law.
flesh and one circumcision of the heart.
That's it. Circumcision of the flesh, circumcision of the heart. It's still a cutting away of the old.
But they were to offer their sacrifices in faith,
Right.
out of obedience to what God says is God's
That's it.
way,
That's it.
looking forward to the fulfillment of that.
Good. Good. Looking forward to the fulfillment of what they're doing here so they won't have to do that anymore. What about Adam to Moses? What did they do? They didn't have the law.
Believed. Faith.
They believed. Okay. How did they know what was right and wrong? They didn't have the law.
Conscience knows his
Right, because Romans 1 says man is
Without excuse.
without excuse. How is he without excuse?
creation.
Good. Who walked with Adam in the garden?
God.
Okay, can you imagine the conversations they had? Okay.
No, I can't.
Don't you think he knew a big difference between when he was in the garden and when he was out of the garden? Right? Whoa, life really stinks. Yeah, it's all hard labor, sweat, thorns, weeds now, and it was so wonderful there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living there for hundreds of years, which is what he did.
But
Okay.
don't you think you
so many times.
Why?
Then you
Why?
just
Why?
die. Lord, just take me now. I'm so tired of this. Just take me now.
I pull the weed and I get up in the morning and there's more weed. How does that happen? That did not happen in the garden. Right, it was just wonderful, eat the fruit. Well, we got the fruit, we got everything we need, and now it's like, I gotta dig the hole, I gotta plant the seed, I gotta blah, blah, blah. Hundreds of years of that.
Just about kicking yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
The apple aggravates.
So through Adam,
Happens with my
the
dishes.
curse
too.
of sin
For some
came,
reason.
right?
I wake up the next morning.
Yeah, it's just like laundry.
More dishes.
Exactly.
And we're still fixing
Now,
these.
but he didn't have the law, so how did he know what was going to do?
Built in him.
It was built inside of him. Do we have a God consciousness?
Yes.
Okay, that's what Romans 1 says. He actually had God conversations. Orally, audibly. He heard God's voice. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. When he heard God walking, I'm like, how do you hear God walking? What does that sound like? Wow, and you left that.
Maybe
Oh,
we'll find out.
Wow, one day we will know. One day we will know. We'll see clearly. Now, who do you think passed on that experience, those words, to future generations? They did. Adam and Eve did. How did they know to sacrifice? Who shed first blood? God did. Why did he shed first blood?
Cover their
Cover
sin.
them. Right. Okay. And it was like an insect? No. He took one of his animal creations because he had to do what for sin? He had to shed blood. So who shed the first blood? Who shed the last blood?
Jesus.
Right. Put that in perspective, okay? He started it, he finished it. Only he could finish it, only he could start it. Keep that in thought. Now, he takes his people out, right? This is Israel, this is my chosen generation, I'm going to take them out. Well, he didn't give them the law and everything when he chose Abraham. He gave them the law after they were what? Freed from slavery. And what? And wandered in the wilderness. Right.
Hopelessly.
Hope, it is hopeless. I mean, we look at that. That was the one thing when the girls and I were flying over Africa. We look out the window and we see this orangey color on the ground. That's all we see. For over an hour at 500 something miles per hour. Yep, still there. Yep, still there. Yep, still there. Desert. That's the desert. The whole country, the United States, would fit inside that desert. Wandering in the desert got a whole new meaning for me. Nothingness. Nothingness, which is what we have without Christ. Okay? Gives that visual to the Israelites. You have nothing without me. Okay? Then he sets down his law. When he gave the law to Moses, he expected that they would keep it perfectly. No, because what's Deuteronomy? Leviticus. Not
When
if
you break
the law.
it, do this. When you break that,
When
do
you
this.
break this law, this is what you're going to have to do. Right? It wasn't, he knew the heart. He knew the heart of man. They can't keep it. So why did he give it?
Tutor to teach us.
To sow the sin.
To show the sin, so that the law was our tutor to show us our sin, show us we can't do it. That's right, we can't do it. So it's hopeless. We're just going to break it. We keep, alter, break it, alter, break it, alter. It's a nothingness, isn't it? Okay? To show them they need a Savior. Okay? Last review question. How did Adam know that there was going to be a Savior?
Genesis 3:15.
Genesis 3:15. First preaching of the gospel. Oh, but Adam didn't know about Jesus. Yes, he did. He talked about Eve having seed. Right? He'll crush your head. He'll bruise his heel. I think that's the right. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Adam was looking forward to Christ because the woman doesn't have seed. She has egg. Okay? And he said seed one, as in Christ. The coming of the Messiah. He will come. That will happen. Did it happen in Adam's lifetime? No, not even Moses or Abraham's lifetime.
Think about that, crushing the serpent.
Yes.
You know, of how he just was just waiting for that because he's the one that really got me in all this trouble. Why did he have to come?
That's a good point. That is a good
I mean,
point.
don't you just think, okay, I'm ready for you to do this now.
Right.
After 100 years, you know, I'm ready for you to do
200,
this now.
300.
Yeah.
400.
Because of that. That was
Yeah.
that. Think how personal that was to him.
Good point. And the expectation.
For a long time, I think
Sometimes
everybody,
people
every
dwindle.
child was, every mother was thinking, is this the one that will
Yes.
restore us back? Is
Yes.
this the one? Is this one? And then the further you get, they forget. But there were some that still, even up to Christ, that were still
There
looking.
were.
But for a long time, it was really,
Talk about
yeah, is
perseverance
this
and
finally when we
tribulation.
get to go back? Is this finally when we're restored? Are we
Yes.
restored yet?
The
Yes.
same thing is true today. Some people really think Christ would come any minute, and others say, oh, he will eventually.
Yeah, eventually. It hasn't happened yet. Why? Oh, we're closer than ever before
Oh,
then.
my goodness.
Right?
Yeah.
Closer than ever before because think how long it's been. Okay, good. Who's the letter to? The Romans.
The church in
specifically
Rome.
The church in Rome. So they are
Jews and Gentiles.
who are believers.
Yeah.
So this is written to the saints. This is, people have said if you only understand Romans and the whole scripture, you'll know exactly how to live your life. Could you say at almost the end of our study of Romans that that would be true? If you understand this doctrine, you know how to live your life. I don't. For me, it's black and white. There's no gray in here at all. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm not supposed to do. This is right in God's eyes. This is wrong in God's eyes. He hits some really hard subjects in here. He's not politically correct. He just nails one right after the other. Okay? How can Paul have that confidence?
Because Christ imbued it in him, taught him.
God
Wasn't it
gave
3
him that.
years?
Good, good. And he taught him, right?
We know.
He seemed to love them so much and so truly wanted them to do right that he said, even if I could die, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And just everything in his life, you know, we have found, most of us have found the more, by now, the more suffering, you know, in a Christian's life, the more you are taught, the more God does in you, it seems like.
Right.
And, you know, Paul was the worst. He came from the worst, first of all, so it was a radical salvation.
That's what I'm getting at right there. is
Yeah.
He
came
had such
from
a
such a
radical
bad-
transformation.
Yes.
He
And to
has
know
this
then the guilt of
passion.
what he did, he had to totally give that to God. And then on top of that, God put him through so much.
Right. And
So
showed him how
everything.
much he was going to go through.
Yeah.
And he stood there holding the cloaks of Stephen while his buddies stoned him to death. I'm
Yeah.
happy to do it.
Think about that and then go to verse 14 in our reading this week. Clothe yourself with the Lord Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow.
You know, that's what he said.
But all his training prepared him for this so he could compare the right and
That
the
is
wrong.
so true. That partly, I think, gives him his passion.
Yeah.
This is what I was, and this is what Christ did for me. You guys are blinded. I want to show you. I was too. I was blinded, but look. Can I just open your eyes? Just, you know, if you have Jewish friends, you have that grief. They're this close, but boy, if they do, wow.
Did you read Jesse's blog? I mean, his.
Oh, yes, that was so awesome.
I didn't see that.
About the atheists and agnostics that are been coming over there.
I got chills.
A couple weeks ago, I listened in there, and he said there are atheists here, you know,
Yes.
and he was talking to them, so it was very cool.
It
But
was-
what's really cool is there are girls named Hale there,
Their
and Hale was
response.
an atheist, and she has become a Christian.
Their
She's a
response.
really, really cool girl. I love her.
It was really,
Yeah.
he listed the responses of the
thanks.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go on there and read
And
that
it's like,
then.
oh,
it's like,
How
how
wonderful.
awesome, how
Jesse's our
awesome.
director.
The thing of it is, how many people have ever talked to them
Yes.
about the Lord and then have Jesse to talk to them?
Right, right.
You know, it's like, oh, maybe I need to rethink this. I mean,
Oh, so true. Oh, you know what?
God, I thought that was so pretty awesome.
It was great.
This is my pouty face.
Is that going to show up on the video?
Now, Marjorie, we just can't think about that. Can we?
Or does Ron edit?
How about from beginning? Does that help? And then we go here. For once, then we can video starts.
I just want the video.
I worked so hard.
I know you did.
You're kidding me.
No, you want? How about this? The ones on the next page.
Isn't it back here?
No, the ones for this lesson, she had to pick up some others. Okay,
He taught you well, Jenny.
He did. He sat on the bed this morning. He goes, okay, now what are you going to do first? I'm going to pray. And then I'm going to plug everything in and hope to God it works right. Okay. We're in verse 9. All I'm going to do is read through 13. Let love be without hypocrisy. Now, some of them say deception or hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil, cling to what is good. Whoa, is that a contrast? Be devoted to one another. How? In brotherly love. How? By giving preference to one another in honor. Now, that's an interesting word to throw in there. Not lagging behind in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, devoted to prayer, contributing to the needs of the saints, practicing hospitality. Now, there is a difference when we come to verse 14. Okay? These are instructions. For what?
so far we've kind of been in the church.
So far,
Now
we've
we're
been
kind
in
of
the church.
moving out.
Right. Okay. So we've been in the church, and this is what evil is. This is what wrath is. This is how you're saved. This is how your faith is. Obedience of faith. All this kind of stuff. Now he's getting into the nitty gritty. Okay. It's taken 12 chapters to do that. Verse 1. What are we supposed to be transforming? Our mind. Our mind. Worldly thinking. Worldly thinking. Would they love without hypocrisy? Why? What would be the whole purpose to love or show
What I can get
love?
out of it.
What I can get out of you. And what you're good for me. But then when you're done with whatever you're good for with me, what happens? We move on. Okay? How is love without hypocrisy different than that?
Love in spite of. You just love us. Yes, keep on.
You love in spite of. Right. Interesting, 1 Corinthians 13. That is what love is. That is the definition of love without hypocrisy. Now, have we ever gone and done the right thing, but not with the right attitude?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Right. Make that bed. Put it there, and you just keep the thing in the dirty clothes hamper. It's just that far. I can whip. Are you doing the right thing? Yes. You're doing the right thing. Not with the right heart attitude. Okay? So are you doing the right thing?
No.
No. No. Do you want your kid to go, fine, Mom, I'll take you. Not exactly. Right? Oh, look, Dan, there's the door. Right? I'm not opening the door for myself. Not when my son is next to me. Why?
Because
Gentlemen open the door for
you're
us.
teaching him.
Right. Oh, there's an older lady behind me. Don't let the door slam in her face. Hold it open because we respect our elders. We give them preference. Right. Okay, so if Mom's coming in with all these books, you continue to sit on the recliner and click the TV. No. No. Mom's coming down the hallway, you come and you help Mom with the book. If Daddy's coming down the hallway and he has his computer bag on his shoulder and he's got his coffee mug, what are you going to do? You're going to get off the couch, you're going to go take the things from Dad's hands so Dad Who provides for your shelter and your food and your clothing and all your lovely stuff that you love to click?
You love to click.
Feels honored, feels respected, feels treasured, feels cherished and appreciated. Okay, that's love without hypocrisy. Because what are you putting before yourself? Other people. Okay, does that happen in my house all the time? Yeah, no. No, I'm guilty of not doing it. However, it needs to be a consistent, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. Why? Because that creates a habit, creates an attitude, okay? 9 times out of 10, my son takes my stuff and he holds the door open. He doesn't even wonder why I'm standing there. He opens the door. We go into Chick-fil-A, there's someone, it doesn't even matter who it's coming in back of us, he continues to, and I think, where did Dan go? Oh, he's holding the door. Okay, I can. We're leading. That's behavior that's peculiar. Very peculiar. Right. Right. Sometimes that opens the door for conversation to share Jesus. Which is the whole reason that you want to do that. Because you're different. You want to be different than the world. Okay? You abhor what is evil. So you really don't like that person. No.
Don't like the act.
You hate the act, you hate the evil that they are doing, but not the person. That is very different. Osama bin Laden was evil personified, but God died for him just like he died for us. That's hard to grasp. That's just hard to even put your fingers around, that Christ knew what he was going to do, but still went to the cross for him. That's just supernatural, because that's what he is. There is no partiality. Hate the evil. Hate the evil. Pray for the person. Pray for the person. That is learned behavior. Okay? Cling to what is good. They said that this cling is like glue. So it's just like sap that you just can't get off your fingers, you know? Cling to what is good. We're finding less and less good to cling to, but cling to it. All right? There is good. There will always be good as long as there are believers in this world. There will be good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Now, explain that to me. Brotherly. Why does God say be devoted to one another in love?
They're supposed to your Christian brother.
Christian brother, yes.
Because we have to think of God the Father, that he made us in his image.
Yeah.
So that's my brother or my sister.
Okay.
According to God the Father.
So when people out of context say, but we're all related, is that true? We all came from Adam, didn't we?
If they are believers.
Okay.
Maybe physically.
Physically, we're all human, of the human race. So that
But
is
not
true.
all who are descended from Abraham are Abraham's seed.
Then that believes that not all are believers, correct? Okay? Remember also in the Greek that there are different words for love.
Yeah.
Why would he have to put brotherly love in here?
Because it's phileo.
Phileo.
Agape love.
It is not erotic, and it is not God. Okay? Agape. It's phileo, toward your brother, just so we're clear. Okay? Because that could open up a whole nother plethora of sin that the antinomians say, sin, 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 sin. Because there's grace, 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 grace. Okay? No. Brotherly love. He is specific. Okay? So we don't have any confusion. In our English word, we could just say love. And we'd go, oh. No, in Greek, there's 3. So he specifies, this is not toward God, and it's not towards your spouse. This is your brother, okay? Family. All right? Give preference to one another in honor. Why does he have to add in honor? That's interesting.
Well, you don't want to give preference to somebody if it's bad. I mean, if what something they're doing or something that you would be giving preference for that would be bad,
Good.
you want it to be honorable.
Right, and good, and cling to what is good.
Right.
Right?
And he's making a distinction between we're not supposed to look on anyone as higher than another.
Right.
You're better than you, and so I love you more, any of that. But there are people of honor in our lives that we respect, that have a special position in our life.
Right.
And there is that preference because that one has been a mentor to me. This one has been like a sister to me.
Right.
This one is, like my little, whatever. There are different positions where we can
That's it.
have that preference, but that's not putting any above other.
That's right. We're
Yeah.
still
We're
no
honoring
partiality,
people.
right? However, some get more honor than the other. In your physical body that Paul just explained to you, do some parts have more honor than the other?
And we have to remember, up until World War I, historically, people were honored because of their position.
Right.
And see how long this is taking hold? That the Christian's influence is that Paul is saying, because he's a slave, you still honor him. Because he's, as he goes into the government, just because he is over your household or over the city, you honor him, but not because of that, because of Christ and honoring,
Oh, that's a good one.
so
Because there's a difference.
because there's a difference, because all they've been taught all their life. You have to think about this, until World War I,
Mm-hmm.
in the world, you preference
Has a
people with
position.
honor because of their position.
Right.
But we are looking, and so love without hypocrisy, as you're saying.
Preference everyone.
You
You're
preference
qualified.
everyone because of that.
That's it.
And so
That's-
Do you
as.
see how that elevates the infant that's helpless?
Mhm.
And it also elevates the elder who could be helpless? Okay? They still have honor. Their life is worth something. No matter how lowly or how high positioned they are, their life still matters. It still should have honor. All right? This is huge in the sanctity of life. Especially in our elderly. I think more the infants are more behind closed door kind of things. But the respect of the elderly, flat out there. I mean, flat out there. You get angry with a person that's driving too slow for you. They turn too slow for you. But it's not all about you, okay?
But he was driving 5 miles under.
Exactly, yeah, see, 5 miles under. One day, we will be there,
Yes.
We're getting closer.
okay? Some are there, some don't think they'll ever be there. But they will,
Slower.
and you'll be so happy to have your independence still.
Yeah.
You may have to go a little slower. You may have to turn your blinker on a little bit too early. You may not go as fast as everybody would like you to do and make decisions as quickly as you would like. However, you will be there. One day you will be there and you'll want your independence just like they still have it, and cling on to it as long as possible. Because when that driver's license goes away, freedom goes away.
We do this in the church so much because I don't want to do it that way because you've done it that way forever and we disrespect them. So how do you do it without disrespecting them?
Fine line, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Fine line.
Isn't it?
For them.
Well, in connection with a lot of this, I always, thinking of the handicap.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Because we have a house that, and it's so hard to hire people who have enough of a compassion or a heart of this sort to deal with these people.
Oh, true.
It's very hard, but you've got to have them.
Mhm. You have
Because
to.
those people can be so thrown down so much further than they already are if you aren't careful.
Right.
And we have that going on right now. We had to bring some people up short this last week over that very thing.
Wow.
We just constantly battle with a lot of this stuff. And that's good, I think.
Okay? The impatience of our society
Yeah, and.
drives me crazy.
I understand
It
that.
drives me crazy.
You know, but
Right.
it's hard. Yeah.
Right, okay? Teach that in your kids. Teach that in your kids. Look,
Yeah.
the elderly, they gave you who you are. They're the ones that fought for your freedom. They're the ones that paid that ultimate price. They're the ones that lost sons, that lost husbands, that lost fathers, that lost daughters. So you can live the way you want to live. And how you're living now and have that freedom to be so arrogant. Okay? That's not honor. That's not honor at all. Okay? That's right. This lovely
Paid,
building
sweat,
that
and
you love to
building.
come into,
Yes.
I don't think your money is paying for the electricity now, is it? No, it isn't. Who had the vision to want to build this so that the youth can have that? It wasn't you. It was them. Okay? They have just as much honor as you do. But you're going to have to be devoted to one another in brotherly love in order to show that honor and respect. Because then it's not all about you, is it? Okay? The world is bigger than you. Huge concept for all of us to remember. But isn't that like Christ? He's the ultimate example that we got. Okay, let's continue with that other list that they've given us, which is crazy. Okay. Don't lag behind in diligence. Be fervent in spirit. Okay? What does that mean, fervent in spirit? That was confusing.
Don't be lazy.
Don't be lazy. Good. Good. What do you think of the word when you think fervent?
Intense.
Intense?
Or intent.
Ah, that's good too. Or intent. They do something with intent. Okay?
Hopefully positive.
Positive. Hopefully positive. Good. Good. Anybody have a different version that says not fervent in spirit, it says something else?
Mine says keep your spiritual fervor.
That's a good way to put it. Keep your spiritual fervor. So is that like zeal? Could we say zeal or zealous? Okay. Do you ever feel like in your Christian life you've just come to a lull? And you do what you're supposed to do, but there's really no zeal in it anymore. Wow. Okay. I can relate with that so much. He's warning against that. How could you overcome that?
Back in the Word, read, fall in love with Him again more.
True. True. The word's going to change your attitude.
Your company, that you
The
keep.
people you hang around with, right? How about the reason that you do what you do?
Well, he tells you that whatever you do it as unto the Lord.
Now, does that not put a better perspective on it? Okay? And who gave you something to do?
Yeah.
Right. According to what?
According to the words.
Your what?
Your spiritual
gift.
gifts.
Your spiritual gift. Right. He gave you that spiritual gift to help what?
So,
The body.
The body and to serve. But I get tired of serving. I want somebody to serve me. Right? However, if we're devoted to one another in brotherly love and in honor, what would happen? We would be being served. Right? Probably wouldn't get into that little rut because we can't wait to get around those people because they love on me and they serve me and they do this and they make sure this is okay and they actually keep track of my life. Wow, they actually care. Okay? It's not a hi, how you doing in the hallway? Don't really care about your answer, just thought I'd be polite. Right? Hi, how you doing? Not so good. Back up the truck. Right? I really meant it. In your eyes, how are you doing? I really meant it. You really meant it? Well, I'll tell you. This is the way it's going. What can happen right there?
Honoring of each other and on and on and on.
I gotta get to choir. Sorry. Talk to you later. I'm gonna be late. Don't want Mike to be upset with me. Gotta go. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe that's a God-appointed moment right there for you not to lag behind in your diligence of serving the body, to devote yourself to one another in brotherly love, and don't lose that zealous spirit for the body. We get busy. Busy. We got stuff to do, you know, and Pilgrim's Progress. Oh my, that's the person I relate with the most. Busyness. Busy. Right. Well, what's the most important thing to do? I don't know, but I got this to do, and that's on my agenda to do. But what if that's not on God's agenda for you to do today? Well, that's a problem. Okay. Gonna have to deal with that, huh? You may have to slow down. This may not be what God has for you today. He may have something way more low key. And all that list, not going to get done at all. Because people matter than the to-do list. Okay? Maybe sometimes that commitment to choir, to ushering, to even traveling with the choir, maybe that's going to prohibit you from traveling to go to Lakeside because you need to sit and minister to this believer, this struggling believer, or maybe even somebody that's just come to the church because they got to go somewhere and they're hurting and they figure, I'm going to go to the church to see what happens there. Wow. Don't miss that God-appointed moment. Don't be so gotta that you miss. Could have helped that person. Walked right by. Missed it. I don't want to do that. I do that. I walk in the hallway. Hi, how you doing? Good. And you're like, they're not good. But I got stuff to do. I just can't stop right now. I'll call them later.
Hey Jenny, have you ever heard who Satan's favorite Christian is?
No.
The busy one.
The busy one, because they're distracted already.
That's it.
Yeah.
They don't actually have time for the relationship. They're so busy.
Right.
Well, you're supposed to obey your parents growing up. Then the teachers, then the this, then the that. You get so busy trying to be obedient to everybody that you don't know how to do anything else.
Right.
You know, that is it's a problem.
It creates busyness sometimes, doesn't
It
it?
creates a busy person.
It does.
If you take that seriously,
It does.
I'm afraid I did that.
We've all done it.
Yeah.
And we'll do it again, I'm quite sure. I'm in it.
Hey, God.
Shoot. Now, rejoice, serve the Lord. Why does he throw serve the Lord right in there? Why can't we put that at the end of the list? Because that's how we're supposed to do all the lists. Why stick it right there?
Maybe it should be first.
Right. Maybe it should be first, but this is God-breathed scripture. We can't take away, we can't add to it, we can't rearrange it. Why put it there?
Maybe after going through tribulation, you need that prayer.
See? There is a reason for the order, okay? Serve the Lord, yes, by not lagging behind in your zealousness and fervent of spirit. Serve the Lord. And now we're supposed to rejoice in hope. Okay, is that a hope that, boy, I really hope it's going to happen? No. What kind of hope is this?
The hope that's promised. to
The
us.
hope that's promised, right. Right, this is a hope that is a certainty, okay? Persevere in tribulation and be devoted to prayer. Persevere in tribulation. Who's he talking to? The believers in Rome. What's happening with them?
Tribulation.
Right.
And they really had some tribulation.
Boy, I'd say
And they're
Nero
gonna have even more.
was the ruler. Everybody know what Nero did to Christians? Tarred, feathered, and whatever, lit him on fire and put him on the stake so they could light the road at night. That's Nero.
He was hot.
Persevere in tribulation? Okay, I don't have that fear of being covered in tar and lit up for the rest of the night to light, this is how I'm going to die. Wow. Hated Christians. Persecuted Christians in nasty ways. So he tells them to serve the Lord. Oh. But if I do that, right, then the Romans are going to know that I'm a Christian and I'm a target, right? I could be burning. Persevere in tribulation. Be devoted to prayer. How do you do that? How do you devote yourself to prayer?
Just talk constantly to the Lord.
Talk constantly to the
Drive
Lord.
down the road, no matter where you are, you have a disconnection. I have
You
this
do.
all the time.
You do. Remember in 2 Thessalonians, he said, pray without ceasing.
Right.
Wow.
I'll read that.
Isn't it Philippians that says that in everything, by prayer and supplication, make your requests known unto God, and the peace comes because of the prayer. Okay? How do you make your requests known to God? You pray.
To the throne, not the phone.
Yeah, there you go. You go to the throne, not the phone. Wow, that's awesome.
Or the I am, not the I am.
Aha! Well, that's good too.
I'll bring the 21st century into this.
Thank you so much. Don't we want to just text?
Yeah.
Right?
And tell your friend,
Exactly.
or your
Facebook.
parents, or whatever.
Right? So we can get sympathy from. Where are we supposed to go first? Because who can fix it? Right? Who may choose not to fix it? But why?
For our own good.
For our own good. Because of his sovereignty and his love. Okay? One cannot go without the other, nor can his wrath not go with his love. It's not possible. Okay? Remember that. That's who we need to go to first. 9 times out of 10, your answer will come because you've gone to him first. And it's crystal clear. It may not be what you want it to be. It may not be the answer you want, and it may not be the thing that you want to do. However, when it's crystal clear, what are you supposed to do? Obedience of faith, right? This doesn't make sense. If I do this, I know this is going to happen. Do you know that's going to happen? You think that you know that that's what's going to happen. They may not be what's going to happen. Only God knows that, and you won't get to know that unless you have the obedience of faith. Okay? Contribute to the needs of the saints and practice hospitality. Now, this contribute to the needs of the saints. I remember people asking me before, how can we have the poor if we're supposed to take care of everybody and the church is supposed to take care of everybody? There shouldn't be anybody in the church that's poor. There shouldn't be any in the church that has a need because we're the body and we fulfill the needs of the saints. How do you reconcile that?
Well, he tells us the poor is always with us and will be.
Right. Do we say then that the body has to be a socialist type of body? Everybody puts their stuff in there. Why not?
Paul also says if you're not going to work, you're not going to eat.
Bingo.
Right.
Do not take one piece of scripture and fill your whole doctrine from it.
So then there would be
Okay.
no need for spiritual gifts.
That's it.
True, because
Good point.
you know, if I mean really, because I have a person in my family whose spiritual gift is giving. You know, but he also, so then he would just give, say if that's the way we were, everybody gave everything, then what about the gift of discernment? What about the gift of teaching? What about the gift of, you know, this and that? It wouldn't, because people might become too satisfied
That's it.
where they were.
That's it.
So-
There is a reason that John Smith made the rule in Jamestown, if you don't work, you don't eat.
Right.
Because it
they were
works.
dying.
Okay? When the pilgrims came over, there were 2 groups. There were people that there to absolutely populate and have a new world, a new family, a new beginning. There were also people that came over that were treasure hunters. They didn't want to work. They wanted to find the gold. They wanted to find this. They wanted to find the treasure. They wanted to explore. Well, who's supposed to plant the crops and everything for when the winter comes and there isn't anything to eat? Who's supposed to do that? Well, y'all do that. And then we'll just eat off y'all. No, 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 no. You either work or you don't eat. Where'd you get that? 2 Thessalonians. Okay?
Well, also
Because that was a problem in
Exodus and Leviticus and
The Thessalonian
Deuteronomy.
church.
Yeah.
Okay? How could that be a problem here at church in the body of believers? There's a problem. This person always meets that need. We'll help you. There's a problem again. Same person. Same problem. but we can provide that need. Same person, same problem.
Give them the fishing pole.
Teach them to fish. Yeah, you can't build your doctrine on one statement. Okay? If you're being obedient in the faith, if you're serving the body, if you're being fervent in prayer, if you devoted yourself to prayer, if you are exercising diligence, can you be lazy and diligent at the same time? Can you be diligently lazy?
I was gonna say.
I've been diligently lazy, and so have my children, on purpose. But can we live like that?
Some people do.
Some people do, but they only can because they're enabled to do that. You don't work, you don't eat. Okay, I want to eat. I guess I'm going to get my butt up off there and go to work because that's what I got to do to eat. Plus, if you have the spiritual gift of giving, how are you going to give if you haven't worked in order to give?
Your husband to work.
You put your husband to work. Amen. See the difference? See how that can be totally distorted? All right? And it becomes a cult and a commune, which has happened all over the world, built on the one doctrine that's not there. It's a statement within the context of Romans 12, within the context of Romans, within the context of the whole scripture.
But didn't they,
Okay.
in the early church, they sell everything and...
They did in
Well,
Acts.
Yeah.
And I've heard Chuck say, which has totally, well, I went, oh, phew. Some things happen in Acts that don't happen anyplace else. You can't build doctrine on Acts. You just can't do it. It's not a doctrinal book. It's the Acts of the apostles and how the church got built and how the miraculous signs and this and this and this happened. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. You can't build doctrine on that. That's not what it is. Romans is doctrine. Romans is where the rubber meets the road. This is how you have the obedience of faith within the context of, remember the book, within the context of all of Scripture. Okay? You can't do that because, like we said, it creates laziness. It creates, wouldn't that make you lose your zeal?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, I keep helping this person and things never get better. Why? Why won't it get better? I don't understand.
Well, definitionally, look at the word contribute. Contribute does not lend itself to 100%. It doesn't say take over the responsibility of. It says
Such a good point.
that is a partial help. NIV says share. When we share, we don't give everything. We share part of what we have.
That's it.
So we're not supposed to take
If
total
there's a need,
responsibility or 100%
true need,
control for them.
and you can meet it, you absolutely have the ability to meet it. Do you meet it?
Yes.
First of all, what do?
Pray about
Be
it.
devoted in prayer. Okay? God, is this what I'm supposed to do? Because it would be so easy for me to do this. So easy, but is that what I need to do? Is that what you want me to do? Make it clear. It may not be. So we were talking about that last week. Oh, there's a job. I can do that job. I can fill that. I can do that. I can do this. But are you supposed to do that? Or are you stepping in where someone else was supposed to come alongside and come in, but you've taken their place? If you've prayed about it, that's not going to happen. If you've prayed and asked the Lord, show me what I'm supposed to do, and you don't get this wonderful piece that this will be a perfect fit for me, maybe that's not what you're supposed to do. Wait, there is nothing wrong with let me pray, let me ask the Lord before I say yes, and let me talk with my spouse. Okay? That's going to be number one. The husband goes, no, I don't want you to do that. That's going to make love up. I don't need to pray about it. My spiritual head just said no. Then the answer is no. Simple as that. Satu.
But it's so, I have friends who, they are in a very bad situation right now, you know, furnitures are carried away. And I'm normally immediately, but God always tells me exactly this amount, exactly to the person. And this time, nothing.
Wow. Was that a shock to you?
They're not believers, and they have put themselves in that situation, using the money, what they don't.
Well, they shouldn't have, right, yeah.
But for me, to have that, what they would need right now, and not to giving it, it's killing me.
It is hard, isn't it?
It is killing me.
But don't you do that with your children? In parenting?
Yeah.
Can't you, I can fix it, just like that. I can fix it. I'm not supposed to fix it.
Yeah.
Hurts me, grieves me to watch them hurt. Oh, it hurts so bad.
But seeing
But you know
them
what?
crying,
That makes them grow.
But she'll learn. That's what I'm sitting here going, no, because I don't have kids, I'm not married, but I'm thinking of the 500 kids in the computer box that I teach.
There you go.
And I'm telling the fishing thing is so true. And you want to help them, like they have 2 events they can come to meet their virtual people and see us that we're real and touch us and stuff. And I provide gas cards, but they have to get there one way. So in other words, I'm not going to pay the whole way for you, I will get you there.
Right.
Mainly because I don't trust the parent, and second of all, the kids, they know my heart, and they know I'll jump through fire for them. And so them crying and you seeing that, it's God testing my faith in what He's telling me how much to give.
that's the thing, and then trusting. When you go to the prayer, you know what He wants to do, even how much it hurts. And it's amazing how He leads us.
Also, sometimes it's, Lord, I'll look bad then. They know I can do it, but Lord, how am I gonna look in their eyes?
Right.
And so that's why you have to do it
What will they
with
think
so
of
much.
me?
Yeah, you have to do it with so much prayer.
Right. Look at the order
Yes.
again, okay? Persevere in tribulation, be devoted to prayer. Then what? Then contribute to the needs of the saints. There's a really good reason for that. Practice hospitality. Oh yeah, come on in, I love it, come on in, yeah, come on in. And Ron and I have done that for so long, and then all of a sudden, the youth are at our house all the time, and we're laying in bed going, I went in the refrigerator and there was like, yeah, I know, there's nothing to eat. There's nothing.
There's 2 shows.
I didn't get to bed till midnight. I know. I can't get up and go to work tonight. I know. So, rules had to be put in place. Y'all are welcome to come in. Rod gets in their face. You take a soda, you drink it all. All of it.
You drink it all.
Okay? These little half cans of soda everywhere, not gonna happen anymore. And they know. So you gonna go to Starbucks? You better take your half cup of soda here with you. Set it. Okay? Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Goodbye cup. Well, nobody's gonna drink it because nobody knows who drank it and who drank it after, and down the sink. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Right?
Yeah.
We have to function. 11 o'clock, the living room shuts down, except on the weekends. 11 o'clock, bye. See ya. Go take it on the front porch. I don't care. It's great. Take it on the front porch. It's lit up. Whatever. But we old people, we have to do that. We can't function on that. So it has to be reined in. Okay? Absolutely adore it that they're there. Absolutely love that. But there's got to be just a little bit of limits to your household. Okay? We love to practice hospitality, but I gotta tell you, the bathroom sometimes does not look so great.
Oh my.
And they'll use my bathroom. They use that bathroom. So that's the way it is. Sometimes the kitchen isn't clean. Sometimes there's dust bunnies rolling down the hallway. That's the way it is. But you know what? When you want this furniture moved and these boxes put down and this stuff, they are right there all the time. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. And sometimes they show up at Starbucks for us.
Yay.
Okay? Awesome. But hospitality is huge. It's just huge. I love that. Sometimes other people stresses them out. Oh my gosh. Wait, give me a couple hours and then let it go. It is what it is. They just want a place to sit I don't care that they can write. It would be fun to write their name in the dust. They like to do that. Yeah.
Just
Okay.
don't,
It's
just
really
don't put
cool.
the date.
Just don't do it on the TV.
Don't put the date.
Jenny, in life, there has to be rules. We have rules on the road, we have rules.
Good point.
Et cetera.
Good
Our
point.
life is full of rules for the betterment of society.
It is.
And that's for the betterment of them. It teaches them not to be ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching with everything.
Exactly.
You know, they have to merit the fact that costs somebody something.
And money starts to become kind of important. Okay? All right. All your cross references. Let's go to Philippians 1. And we're going to read 27. Okay? And I'm going to stop at, I think it's 2:3 or 4, something like that. I won't read all the way to 2:8. That will come later. Whatever happens, conduct yourself in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Has he talked about conducting yourselves in a manner worthy before? How you're supposed to walk, what you're supposed to do, okay? Is that not what our whole list was in Romans 12? Okay? Then whether I come and see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know that you stand firm in one spirit, contending as one man for the faith of the gospel, without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. This is a sign to them that they will be destroyed, but that you will be saved, and that by God. For it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ not only to believe on him, I don't like this part,
Yeah.
but also to suffer for him. It's been granted to you. It's a present. Okay? Since you are going through the same struggle you saw I had, and now hear that I still have. If you have any encouragement from being united in Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, and any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being in one spirit, one purpose. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility. Consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Okay? Hence the book, it's not about you. Right? Purpose-driven life. First sentence? It's not about you. Wow. Now think about that in your home. Okay? It's not about you. But then, how can that be taken out of context? Can that be taken to the wrong edge? You know people like that? They don't have a good self-esteem about themselves at all, because everybody always comes before them. Maybe as a mom, your world is your children. And your children always comes first, and it's always kids, always kids have first. My kids will tell you that Ron, first. Ron and me, first, then you. Always, first, then you. I love you. I take you so many places. I homeschool all of you. I love you dearly. However, if Daddy and I aren't happy, nobody's happy. Not going to be happy.
Especially mama.
Especially mama. Especially mama. Right. Okay? I'm going to grow old with this man. I'm going to grow old with you. You will leave.
Please.
We have plans for your room. Trust me. Your brother has a plan for your room.
Yes.
So true, right?
Asked me if Amy could come and live with me.
So funny.
Oh, well.
Put this down into a nutshell.
Yeah.
What is this whole 27 to 2:4 talking about?
And ask Anna to move with Janina.
I know. What is?
Sis,
Put it down.
Time to go. You have your house.
You're not to let people take advantage of your
Good nature, yes, and your generosity. Good point. Because you're devoted in prayer before you meet the others. right? The needs of others, you're devoted in prayer first. Okay? Sum this up here. Who's the example?
Christ, because he did not let the Pharisees
He did not. Good point.
and he did it a way where it was back to them all the time, but he did not, the bottom line, he did not let them dishonor him because he was God's son. We did not let people dishonor us because we are
Christians.
Christians,
Exactly.
Christ followers, and and the child of God as Christ was.
So how has that happened in society then? Because we are looked down at as Christians, and we get a bad name. And some people, churches have even taken the word Baptist out of their name for the church because it's got a bad rap.
Because in Matthew, which I read this morning, I thought this was so funny. Yes. Jesus says, and from the time of John the Baptist began preaching and baptizing until now, the kingdom of heaven has been forcefully advancing. That's Christ followers. And violent people attack it.
Isn't that interesting?
So
Violent people attack it.
So Jesus
But
is
why?
setting us up. This is the way it's going to be.
Right. But why? Why would they want to attack the church?
Because
We
the
are
world
right.
is sin. Because Jesus was right.
The world is sin. Go back to Romans 1. It says they've exchanged
Truth of God.
truth of God
Yeah.
for a lie. Okay?
Abortion, certainly.
Suppressing. How can you suppress the truth unless you don't act against it? You can't.
And that's why world is attacking Jesus, because he is the only way.
Right.
Satan doesn't care about other religions.
No.
Only us.
Yes.
Okay? Because we're the ones that would make a difference in the
We
world.
are.
How?
We are
By love.
problem.
Okay? Way different.
We have the force behind us. That's what Jesus was saying. It's being forcefully advanced, no matter what we do or not do, because
right.
it is God that's doing
And
it.
it's supernatural.
So
Okay? No other religion is supernatural. Ours is. We have a risen Lord. Death couldn't even hold him. All right? When we say regard one another as more important than yourself, there is a balance there. Okay? That is not I am a doormat. That is, we don't have to do it my way all the time. Look, they've had a hard day. They've come in and at me. Well, fine, right? You just go in your room and you have a bad day at work. I can either respond. There's a limit. There's a limit.
Pull down all the time.
Exactly. You can't let yourself do that because you were supposed to think of others more highly than you yourself. He also reminds you who you are in the body.
Well,
and
you
that
are still doing that because you
Yes,
don't want
you are.
that person to become what he is at that moment.
Exactly. And you overlook that bad part. If you continue to give bad attitude back to that, it's just going to
Yeah.
keep on going all night long, right? Instead of, man, I'm really sorry you had such a bad day. Why don't you go there and watch TV and I'll just keep the kids quiet for a little bit and maybe you can just,
Become yourself again.
right. You haven't had a long enough drive home to get over the bad day, and that's showing appreciation for what they do. Because I get to stay home, okay? And I get to do what I've always wanted to do. I am well taken care of. And he's put up with a lot of junk. Space. Instead of, you can't talk to me like that. Which is what comes up first, right? Squelch, right? Soft answer turns away wrath. They can't argue with you if you're not arguing back. There's just nobody to argue with. Okay? Squelches it, stops it, and Satan stomps off. This didn't work. But you can stop it. Okay? How many of us have come home with that attitude and had to have the grace from someone else to do that for us? Okay? That's them thinking more highly of you than themselves. Because this is all supposed to be done in love, without hypocrisy. Okay? Suffer for Christ. That's hard. But he's called you to suffer with him. Christ suffered for you. If you believe in him, you will suffer. And he's granted that privilege for you to do. I know sometimes it just, most times, who wants to suffer? I don't want to suffer. However, if it spreads the gospel, suffer.
Didn't Kay say last week that's how we grow?
That is how we grow. You just can't grow and everything's are always wonderful and everything because it just doesn't create that intimacy.
Things are not always.
They are not. And that's not life, is it? It's just not life.
But don't you wonder why some suffer more than others?
I do. I do. I mean, you know, I always look at Vanya. I look at that book, Vanya. I'm like, suffered so much. I just don't understand. Corrie ten Boom suffered. Even on her last years, on her deathbed, literally for years. But she still knew she could do something. And she prayed. Wouldn't you want to be on Corrie ten Boom's prayer list?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. Single, never married, never had children.
And she's able to forgive that German.
Give that German soldier that actually caused Betsy's death.
Right.
And praise God for the fleas.
And that's it. Because that keeps the guards out so we can preach the gospel. Okay? What a life to learn from Corrie ten Boom.
Right.
Unbelievable.
If you haven't read her book, get it.
Oh, yeah. She is a hiding place is one, but there's many others after that.
Yeah.
They didn't have to put themselves in that situation. They weren't Jewish. They didn't have to hide Jews in German Nazi World War II. But they thought of God's people
Right.
more highly than they did themselves. Corrie was the only one that came out of that concentration camp. She lost her family. Christ is our example. Let's look at 2:5. Your attitude should be the same as that of Christ Jesus. Now here's his attitude. Being in very nature God. Where did we learn that? What book did we learn he was the very nature of God? Express being. That's Hebrews. That's right. That's right. Did not consider equality with God something to be grasped. Now think about it. He's in heaven. He could have held on to that and said, I am not going down there. I thought I would, but I'm not going to anymore. I'm not going to do it. He didn't grasp that. He let it go. He laid it aside, made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. Now I have heard it described as God, Christ, getting up off the throne and putting on human skin. Can you imagine all the glorification he has to stuff into that human sin just to fit? Okay, he left most of it in heaven because it won't fit. Glory, he's in heaven. When we get to heaven, we're like, I don't believe you did that. Why would you go down there when you have this? That's just insane. That's supernatural. That's love. Okay? And he knew from the beginning of time that's what he was going to have to do. But he laid it aside. Took the very likeness of human, being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself. God humbled himself and put on human skin, that of his creation. Okay? And became obedient to death, even death on a cross. None of us have done that. None of us have done that to that extent. So he's our example. We don't have to lay aside our glory in heaven and put on something we've created just by speaking it. I can't even fathom that. Can't even imagine doing that. If he's our example, we have nothing to complain about. We can't. Not when we look at him as our example. Okay. Love your neighbor as yourself. That was in James 2. Then we're in Ephesians and Colossians because we're running out of time here. Do your work as unto the Lord. Okay. This, remember, is how we live out our faith. If you are devoted in prayer, if you are contributing to the saints, if you are not lacking in your zeal, if you're showing hospitality, if you're meeting the needs of the saints, you're loving your neighbor as yourself, and your Christ is your example, then what's your quality supposed to be like? What's the quality of your job that you do supposed to be like?
As the Lord would say.
Super duper. Exactly, super duper, as Bert Band says. Because you're doing it where?
As to the Lord.
Do you see what a great parenting tool that is too? Not, just for yourself. I remember, doing a job, and because of the competitive nature within me, if my mom and dad praised some other kid about something that they did, mine was going to be doubly better than that. Because that's just the way it is. I mean, if she had a clean room, then mine's going to be unbelievably clean. Way better than hers. Okay? That probably wasn't done as unto the Lord. It was done as unto me. But it was a good job. What was the reason? Wrong reason. Wrong reason. Okay? So sometimes when you do it from the wrong reason, it doesn't really last, does it? Because that's not really important anymore. Because this is important to me now. That's not so important to me now because I haven't talked about that kid anymore, so. Right. But if you do something as unto the Lord, if you understand that your room is God's room, He provided that for you through your parents. And how you are a good steward of what you have directly reflects on what you do as God's work and who you're doing it as unto. So, look, you cleaned your room, great. If that and God would come in there and go, hey, that's a great job. You just did the best job. You didn't sweep everything under the rug and jam everything in the closet and shut it so God help you if you open it, it would fall out on you, or make the bed with all the lumps in it stuff. If you've done your work as unto the Lord, I'm going to be happy with it. I don't have to go in there and check it. There's no way. Because see, as believers, we're supposed to do everything as unto the Lord. Mom, hey, I didn't say it, He said it. So this is the parenting tool here. It's not my quality, it's how you do this. But if you're faithful in little, what happens? We're going to trust you with more. So if you're faithful to do that, we're going to trust you with more. Maybe that means more responsibility. Maybe that means more freedom. Maybe that means more privileges to go someplace else you want to go because you've shown that you put others more highly than you do yourself, because it's not really important for you to clean the room, but it's important to your parents. It's important to your relationship with Christ, how you discipline yourself. Louise?
Well, I'm thinking of the phrase that says cleanliness is next to godliness. And I'm wondering, maybe it should be in the Bible.
Maybe it should be in the Bible. Log on that, Benjamin Franklin. God helps those who help themselves. Why isn't that there? Right? Do you see the little parenting thing, though, that's there? Because now you're not making it your word. That's what God says. So that's how I parent, is according to what God says. So
I think that is so freeing in every situation, every relationship. You can go and say,
it's not me. Yeah.
That's one reason to know this book.
No, that's so true. It is so true. Okay? It doesn't work all the time. I can go into 3 rooms in my home now that are look who did it and I know who ran.
You want to come to Janila's room?
You know? It's not good. It's just not good.
Further, as we're working, I can remember my dad, the year he retired. So that's, how old he was. But the young men came to him and said, you don't need to work so hard and do everything so fast, because then you make the rest of us look bad. And he said to them, well, I'm not working for you. Well, and I'm not working, because he said, I answer to somebody higher than that. And so he then, oh yeah, you can imagine. Then he had that opportunity. Well, you open up the door, you fellas, you young guys. So here we go.
I'll tell you how it is.
But international hot dogs, we answer to a higher power, so you don't everybody to say
Oh yeah.
But I mean, so here is the flip side of why we have this instruction.
That's it.
Because people are watching. Why does she always go the extra mile, or he always go the extra mile?
Think about your job in the body. Now, do people like to entrust you with a job that they know you're gifted in. That is your spiritual gift, no doubt. However, if she says she's going to be there, she's not always like there. Or she says she's going to do something, it just doesn't get done, and I can't depend on that. So people stop asking, don't they? Okay? Because you're not doing your work as unto the Lord. You're doing it as unto you and how it fits in with your schedule and what's important to you. Wow.
Becky was sitting here trying to think how to put into words, and I've been with her, so I know what she's thinking, and it's like, where's that limit of you want to do everything unto the Lord, but yet you get walked on?
Yeah.
And there's that being wise and being,
Be
not-
devoted to prayer.
I guess that's the being devoted to
Be
prayer and not
devoted
just
to
doing
prayer.
it because you feel like you have to go over the limit.
Right.
You have to know where God's
There's the
leading
busyness.
you.
The busyness comes in, and Satan distracts you with busy, 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 so that your life is so full, you don't have time for Bible study, and you don't have time for coming to church because, oh my gosh, you're so exhausted. That's the only day I can finally sleep in. Oh,
Yeah.
scary. I think we need to go back and look and go,
Well,
Too many
and we
things.
can look at Christ as
Many
the example
things.
once again, because he didn't heal every single
I know.
person. He did not
go to every village.
Go to every village, and we see all where it says, and he went away by himself for prayer, as was his habit.
That's it.
He went and
That takes a lot of self-evaluation.
Yeah.
That when you feel like your life is out of control, well, God didn't put it out of control. You did. That's where literally I have put things down on a legal pad and thought, okay, something's got to go.
Yeah.
This I
Jesus
have no
Christ.
life. So this has to go. This has to go. And this has to go. Go pray again. Is that enough? You may be left with 2 things on that list. That's possible. Okay.
I was just thinking that could mean too that to do something as unto the Lord could mean having it be less than your standard of perfect, because that's all you have time for, and you have to go and be with the Lord.
Right. That's
But you
right
have
too.
to let it go and say, but I've got to go. I can't have time for this because you called me maybe to do this, or I think you have, and it's got to be after this. I've got to give more time.
As unto the Lord, does that mean perfect?
Doesn't mean that it has to be.
No.
It doesn't mean perfect.
It means perfect in spirit.
That's it.
and
You're
But
always
you,
so hard.
you can only do what you can only do, or have time for what you have time for.
place.
Haven't you
If
ever
you
said,
pray
oh,
for
somebody can do
that,
that so much better than me? Why are you asking me to do that? This person can do that so much better than me. I don't understand why you're asking me to do that. Why are they asking you to do that?
I've created an expectation.
You've created an expectation, or
Maybe they-
because of your spirit.
Yeah, maybe they.
It may not be that you are the very best person to do that. It may be because of your attitude. That they would rather have that attitude. You may not think that you're the best person to do that. But after a lot of prayer, I know you are. But now you go and pray about it. And if you don't come back with the same answer that I do,
Need to grab somebody
no,
that can
that's
do
fine.
it.
I must have heard wrong. However, if you're both devoted to prayer, if you're both committed to the body of Christ, I doubt you're going to have a different answer. I really, really do. But remember, you don't have to do everything that you're asked to do. You shouldn't do everything that you're asked to do. Okay? Then you have no life. When people tell me that they have this on Monday night, this on Tuesday night, this on Wednesday night, and then Thursday we have to do this, and Friday we have to do this, and Saturday we have to finish all that, and Sunday we back up the truck. Okay? Family takes time. Family takes being together. Family takes commitment. Family says saying no to I cannot tell you how many things. Okay? Those are your arrows that you're shooting off into the future, and you only have so much time to get that point just right, and those feathers just right, so it's not going off to one side, and it's just right going to the target. Because they leave. And that bow that's you, let go. You're not going with them. They go. That faith has got to be theirs. They've got to own it. They've got to know it. They know what to believe and why they believe it. So they own it. so that they can be ready to give an answer in season and out of season. Whether they're lying down, rising up, or walking in the way, they can give that answer. That takes time, which means you say no, 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 and no. I love to go have lunch. I can't do that. Not and do what God's called me to do at home. I can't do that. Sometimes I can, most often I can't. Counseled another homeschooling mom just a little while ago and said, this is the life that you know God has called you to do. Yes. Then all those things those people are expecting you to do, not going to happen. Because you've said yes to this, you must say no to that. That's what a yes answer does. This is what a no answer does. A yes says no to that. A no says yes to that. Be devoted to prayer. Be devoted to prayer. Always, always striving to use that spiritual gift. How God has used you. And if you're too busy to use that spiritual gift in the body, who's hurting? Body. Body is hurting because you're too busy. Your family would also be hurting. I got to tell you. And I have been caught up in that before, to be just too busy. Service, if we're serving Lord, because obviously that's what we're doing. Interesting. Prayer at all times in the Spirit, with perseverance, petition, and alertness. I don't know why he has to throw that alertness in there. However, my mind just, I gotta put that. I better put that on my grocery list. I better, right?
Yes.
Whoa!
Exactly.
Reel it back in, right? Be alert. Be prayer with petition, with perseverance. Alert. This is what I want. I want this answer. I want to know. How can you know? You've got to be alert. This is how the righteous live by faith. He's given us all these examples, especially in your cross references, how we live by faith. This is how you do it. It's not, I've learned Romans now and I've gone through almost all of the whole chapters and everything, so I know all about doctrine. Well, that's awesome. What are you going to do with it? If you do nothing, you've wasted your time. Totally wasted your time. This has got to change your life. If it doesn't change your life, you've wasted your time. Scripture can tell you how to live. No doubt. Don't just take it in. Live it out. Because in that living, you're walking the obedience of faith, so what's your faith doing? It's growing, right? Okay? It can't help it grow. All right? The end of Romans 12. Wow. How to treat those who persecute us. Do you get persecuted?
Yes.
Yeah.
You do get persecuted, but not really physically, right? We're not afraid that our physical being is going to get hurt, right? Well, what happens when you tell your kids, well, as long as you did it as unto the Lord, I'm good. You ever get that? Well, that makes me feel like junk. It's still the right thing to do. It doesn't make me feel real good. It's not honoring. Very disappointed in that behavior, because that tells me your heart condition toward me. Ooh, that's bad. That's bad, bad, and bad. But this is what's right to do, and this is what I've got to do, so I get that. So my job is to be consistent and continue to do, and to discipline, and to do, and to discipline, and to do, but all within the context of love. Because love looks out for the best of others. Doesn't put itself more highly than it ought to. Okay? At the end, bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Rejoice and weep with those who weep. I've also heard it said that rejoicing with people who rejoice is harder because jealousy can get in there. It's really easy when people are hurting, just, oh, I'm so sorry for you. You weep along and you feel the grief. That's really actually easy. Rejoicing with they rejoice, well, that's what I wanted. No, be happy. Be happy that this was what God determined for them, so that's your answer. It wasn't supposed to be for you. He has something else. Be of the same mind toward one another. Don't be haughty in mind, but associate with the lowly. Do not be wise in your own estimation. Never pay back evil for evil to anyone. Respect what is right in the sight of all men. And I cling to this last verse here, if possible. So far as it depends on you, Be at peace with all men. Reconciliation is possible. Restoration is not always. You can reconcile. This wrong, this wrong, this wrong. We admit it, sorry, and I'm sorry. Can you ever restore it? Sometimes not. Sometimes not. That's the way it is. But you're supposed to live at peace with all men. So when you see that person, you don't, dart into a room, right? Go around here.
No, that's
No.
not love.
That's not love. That's not love. And God may call you to meet a need in that person's life. That's possible. Okay? Highly probable. Restoration is not always possible. I used to think that meant forgiveness. If it's forgiven, then we have a right relationship and we're all good. Not so much. Sometimes that cannot happen.
We can't forget sometimes.
But I haven't forgiven, so if I keep remembering that I haven't forgiven,
That's
that's not true either.
That's not true.
That's not true either, okay? I remember what happened with Hitler. I remember. That doesn't mean I haven't forgiven, but that means I remember. I need to learn from the past. I need to recognize that when I see it again, okay? When someone's hurt me deeply, like only family can, you forgive. You don't always necessarily forget, which sometimes protects you from it happening again.
Love the sinner, but not the sin.
That's it. That's it. All right? Christ remembered, but he still forgave. Never take your own revenge, beloved. Why does he throw that in? Beloved, I love you, right? No, don't take your own revenge. Leave room for the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. If your enemy is hungry, feed him, and if he's thirsty, give him a drink, for in so doing you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Now, I wanted to get up to the last slide because this is just a great quote I found in one of my commentaries. If one yields to the temptation to take revenge, then that one was overcome by evil. Wow. That's hard. If you take that revenge, you've been overcome by the evil. Couldn't Christ have taken revenge? Wiped them all out. Just with a thought. Just with the breath, he could have taken them all out, but he didn't. This is the price for sin. This is what has to be paid for sin. I'm going to pay it. I'm the only one that can pay it. Even though I could snuff you out with just a thought. Wow, unbelievable. That's the kind of love that we're supposed to have. Think of others more highly than you do yourself. Be devoted in prayer, serving the saints with your spiritual gift. Now, did anybody find out what heaping coals on the top of your head meant? Amy, share.
Well, back the ancient Egyptian custom was a person who wanted to show their contrition. Did I say that right?
Contrition.
Their contrite spirit.
Yes.
Would publicly carry pans of hot coals on their heads, and the coals represented the burning pain of shame and guilt. Am I right, Cynthia?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when believe, so.
And what was fire back in those times?
Important.
It was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You never wanted your fire to go out. Why?
You needed fire for everything.
Yeah, everything. It was heat, it was light, and it was food, right? Can you imagine giving somebody coals that's your enemy? Oh, I'm sorry, your fire has gone out. You need more coals. Here you go. What does that do to the enemy?
Yeah.
Is there poison in it or something? Right? No. This is Christ-like behavior. This is what Christ would do, and I'm called to walk in newness of life. And newness of life means I don't hate you, and I don't overcome your evil that you're doing to me with more evil. Wow.
You kill them with kindness.
You'll kill them with kindness. They can't stand it.
That's right.
They just can't stand it because it makes them so uncomfortable. Because it's so peculiar. Because that's not the world. That's the church. That's the body of Christ. We're supposed to be drastic. Drastic. Anybody else?
this does not pertain to country, because sometimes this is taken out of context.
And what is our
Saying-
context?
And he's talking to the church, to
The church within the body of believers, right?
individual to individual.
As it is possible with you, live at peace with all men. It is not always possible. Some people will not let it go. That's not your fault. As it's up to you, you live at peace with all men. If they won't let you live at peace, that is their problem. You have no guilt in that. Okay? People like me can live in that guilt for years. And years and years. It's my fault. I shouldn't have. And I should, no. No. If it's possible, live at peace. It's not always possible. Okay? All right, we got about 3 minutes tops. And remember, you only have 4 lessons left. Kind of crazy. What you got?